Hello, Wismots gang, and thank you for tuning in for the review of this absolutely awesome, new, innovative fixed blade. This is from Zerco Knives, from Jacob, and it's called the CacheBlade. The cache refers to the compartment inside the handle where you can stash your fire starting kits, fishing line and hook, etc., etc., your medication pills, whatever you need to stash inside the handle. So it comes with the Kydex sheath. In this case, maybe Jacob will be doing leather sheaths or some variations of the Kydex sheaths in the future runs. But that's the sheath. It has several lashing options. You do have these slots where you could do molly lashing as well as these belt loops, and two of them, so you can scout carry it on your back or on your front, on your side, etc. You can do a variation of carries. Basically, you can switch them vertically like so, etc. So it gives you a bunch of options. It does have a drain hole to clean out the sheath in case you get any dirt and debris inside. It has a thumb ramp to kick the sheath off. And now let's get into the beauty of the CacheBlade itself. So he has chosen M390 steel for the blade, which is one of my favorite steels. It has exceptional edge retention, pretty good rust resistance. The only thing that it lacks compared to its other two qualities, where it marks very high, is toughness. M390 is not a very tough steel, but it's not bad in any way. And I actually was very surprised. I was testing this. We will throw in some footage. I was preparing a brisket out of an entire half of the bull. So it was cut inclusive of the ribs and a section of the spine. And I was trying to get the spine out and cut off the rib section of the meat to expose the brisket, to do a smoked brisket in my offset smoker. And as you will see in the footage, I was actually hitting this knife, the cutting edge, on the bones, and this is not chicken bones, right? I mean, it's a bull, pretty strong, rough bones. I was hitting because I couldn't get into and cut away the spine. So in certain sections I had to actually smash the bone in, and that's what I was doing. And I was fearing that I would get some edge damage on the knife. To my big surprise, zero edge damage was visible. Once I washed away the blade, I only stropped it. I have this strop that I made myself. You can actually buy this nice thick leather. I bought this on Amazon, but I wanted to do it my way, or make my own strop, because usually the strops that you get are thin and tiny. This was a very good size, so I have red and green stropping compound. So I did about 5 on each side on the red and 5 on each side on the green. And the blade cutting came almost back to the factory condition. That was my fault, you see. Very easy. Now, keep in mind, this is a much thinner paper than your printing paper, and I actually like to use this to test, because if it cuts this well, that's my mark. I mean, look at it. Once you see the footage that how I use the knife, I think you should be quite impressed. Now, let's look at some of the footage of how I use the knife. So obviously, I've got it in scout carry. Why I'm doing the meat is because it has a very nice belly, very thin and slicey geometry, and I believe that I'll be able to demonstrate that it is a very good knife for hunters as well as in general outdoors people. This is bull meat. The knife, by the way, came razor sharp. I need to take off the brisket first. As you know, guys, I try to give back to the followers, to the subscribers of my channel, and I'm running giveaways. So if you guys want to receive a free sample of this awesome knife. I will, in the description section of the video, please read the conditions of the giveaway, which are basically very simple. You need to be a subscriber and you need to place a comment related to the product being reviewed. In this case, the Zerco Knives CacheBlade. This is valuable feedback from you guys. So I understand you don't hold the knife in your hand to make a very detailed comment, but tell us what you think about the knife, what you like about the knife, and what you maybe would like to see improved in the next runs. And the companies that I collaborate with, they take in that feedback seriously. Okay. You want it? You're welcome. Cut off a piece for the other one. Goldie? Voldemort. Nolly, I already gave you some. The unfortunate thing is that the butcher or butchers that I work with here, they don't make these cuts. They'll just cut off this entire thing, including the ribs, the spine. They do not separate the brisket, so I have to do it myself, which means that the Zerco knives is getting a good test because it's also dealing with some cartilage and bone. There we go. He was just cutting some cartilage. I need to expose that section so I know where to start cutting the brisket off, which is why I'm going through this trouble here. I could use X, but I don't want to. That creates bone shards. See, the knife and the belly is perfect geometry for ginning, not necessarily if you have to get down into the meat, because for that you need a thinner and longer geometry. But most of the stuff in the preparation of this meat I'll be doing is more slicey movements, similar to skinning. And it's doing a beautiful job in that. As I said, very good steel and exceptional sharpening from the factory. So we get this nice result. And that, my friends, is our brisket. There we go. And again, the knife is doing a beautiful job dealing with this fat layer. So this knife, by the way, has a very, very good handle geometry, handle ergonomics. This is done very well. And it's a pleasure to use the knife for prolonged periods of time, no issues. So because I make knives myself, I'm not a standard YouTube reviewer where I cut cardboard or rope, sisal rope, or garden hose, which I'm not bashing on those people. I watch those reviews myself, and that's important information. But what I'm saying is my approach to assessing the knife is a bit different, and it is similar to how a knife maker would analyze a knife. When I say I live in Georgia, that's not the state, it's the country. Actually, one of the oldest countries. And those of you that know UFC, we have two world champions. Merab Dvalishvili and Ilya Topuria are Georgians. Quite proud of that. The OEM for the knife is Riyadh. And if you know Riyadh, they do make very high quality knives. They're familiar with various blade steels, how to heat treat them, how to grind them, etc. And they did not let down on this particular knife. What I also want to add is that what is so impressive for me in this blade, and once we take it apart and I show you what the special characteristics of this design are, it is very impressive that a guy that is not really a knife maker started a company, Zerco Knives, and this is his first creation. To me, that's jaw-dropping. I make knives, I modify knives, high-quality custom knives, mostly for myself, because I'm a collectioner and I collect them. But I know how much work, thought, and design goes into making a good knife. And the fact that this is his first creation, albeit there were prototypes before the final production version, is just jaw-dropping to me, and very promising. And I am very eager to see what Jacob comes up with next in the next runs, next iterations of this knife or his newer models. We had a call. He's a very nice, down-to-earth guy. I asked him a lot of questions about how he designed the knife, the handle, the idea, etc. And I was quite impressed. Very nice guy. So this, before I take it apart, what I want to say about the blade geometry and ergonomics. Let's start with the blade. This blade is a full flat grind, and that is what he has on the only version of the blade geometry so far. Two blade finishes, stone washed and satin finish. I do prefer stone washed. That's what he sent me. I also requested the orange handle with G10. I don't know, I like orange. I like orange. I like orange. Anyway, so I asked him, first of all, this is a 3D handle and very ergonomic, very nice to hold, absolutely no hot spots. The chamfering on the G10 is very meticulously done, very well. Proportions from one side to the other on the handle as well as the blade grind, zero issues. That is very rare that I don't see a flaw in the manufacturing process. Very rare. I didn't see any single flaw in this knife. So that speaks volumes to me, at least. So I asked him, how did you come up with this shape? You see those oval shapes? That's not just color or design, that is actually relief. You see that? So it is a 3D shape. Okay, you see that. So it gives just enough texture. First of all, it looks like wood, because wood has this texture, but it also gives it just enough grip, not to be rough, but not to be slicey at the same time. Also, these very beautiful ergos help. You see, it is very nicely shaped. I also appreciate that the back of the handle is not straight. Sometimes you see that, so it just melts into your hand. And regardless of the hold, you are not going to see any hot spots, zero hot spots anywhere. So that was impressive. And I asked him, how did you come up with this design? And he explained that while prototyping the knife, he uses a 3D printer, prints the knife just to, feel it in the hand, etc. And he said that is the structure that the 3D printer finished with. And it looked cool and felt cool, so I asked the OEM to make the handle like so. And I think it's a beautiful and very practical solution. As for the blade shape, I like that it has a very pronounced belly. So we have a straight section. By the way, we also do have a very nice sharpening choil. I do not like knives that come all the way down and have no sharpening choil, because at least I am not able to sharpen them without hitting either this section or just making an awkward slight recurve, etc. So this gives plenty of space to resharpen the knife when you need to, and that should not be too often, because this is M390 steel. We have a very nice and functional, not rough, well-polished jimping in the right place. This would be a beautiful knife for hunting, skinning as well, because of this nice belly. And also for cooking, etc., for food prep, this geometry does very well in those tasks. But at the same time, again, this is M390 steel. The blade thickness, let's check what we get here. So 0. Blade thickness is 3.8 millimeters in the spine section, but it gets quite thin behind the edge. So right behind the edge, it is 0.5 almost. Yeah, not almost. It is 0.5 millimeters. So it is very, very slicey of a blade, and just great ergos. I did talk to him about the possibility of like what his plans are for the future runs of the knife, because for outdoors and bushcraft knives, a convex grind is my favorite and the strongest blade geometry. So I often, if I get a bushcraft knife, I will often compare it to this knife, which is currently the best bushcraft knife that I own. And this is full convex starting from the spine. So he said that that is a possibility. He's looking at a variety of options on how to expand his range of models. So we may be seeing, I don't know, saber grinds or convex grinds in some other models that hopefully he will pop out here soon. Let's get into the trump card, the joker of the knife. Of course, you notice that this has no rivets. It doesn't have any pins. So how is this held together? All other knives that will have a G10, surely this is not glued. And I told you there's a cache section, so a stash storage section inside the handle. This is another knife, actually a very cool knife from Real Steel, also convex grind as I like. And they also do have a stash section in here, but so they give you a tool, this thing. And this is what takes apart the screws, and it exposes. Let me quickly show you. This is also cool. It exposes the cache section or the stash section. Here we go. So this is quite similar to the Zerco Knives CacheBlade, but just similar. So I'll explain what I mean. So that is how you take apart the CacheBlade. Very simple, toolless. So what can we fit in here? let's see, we can fit the lighter. This is a kerosene lighter, and he has designed the handle around the lighter. Or you can have the storage case, stainless steel, which is the same exact size as the lighter. You can fit in here wax infused cotton sticks, which are actually quite hard, and Jacob sells them on his site. So you can go with either option of adding the fire steel and these cotton sticks that are wax infused, and they actually burn for a while. And one will, if you know what you're doing, you can start probably 4 fires with just one stick. So you can throw that in there, and bam, so done. That's simple. And then this thing you can screw onto your sheath, and then you have a very nice long fire steel together with your cotton. Or I would actually prefer and advise to go with a kerosene lighter, because it's just simpler and quicker. You can store the kerosene lighter in there. Now I don't want to take that off, but it's the same size exactly. The cool thing is I did ask him, and he confirmed that this is the special type of rubber that is resistant to petroleum products. So if you just have a silicone in there, it'll get eaten up soon. And you can feel right there, you can feel the rubber being pressed with these two sides, which from my experience from the Maratak lighters tells me that this will hold the kerosene without evaporating for months. And I can attest to that. Let me quickly show you. This is the titanium Maratak that I'm using for months. This is the split P. There we go. Very useful. You can place that in there. Now, can we do the same on the real steel? And even though it fits, no, you can't, because there we go. So it is a stash section, but not really made for this lighter. I mean, you can still put whatever, a smaller container, or maybe, again, fishing line with hooks, or pills, or money, whatever you need to. The thing is, as you can see, the only way I can disassemble and reassemble this thing is with this tool. The thing with the CacheBlade is how much thought Jacob has put into, and how many prototypes is done in order to end up with this final version. And this final version is awesome, I can tell you that. So this is the lock mechanism that will push against this steel. This is stainless steel, I also confirmed that. So it will push. There is recessed sections here, and this is a convex screw. So you can actually unscrew this, and this section comes off as well. So the way you do assembly back is you'll just place this in here. You can move it up by hand, or after you place it, it doesn't have anywhere else to go, so you can just push up. This is very reassuring. No floppy, no flimsy motions or sounds. Very sturdy. And then you've got your CacheBlade reassembled. And as I said, inside you can have whatever you choose. Okay, one thing that I do want to add is that this is not, I wouldn't use it as like a hard use survival banger knife. Let me show you another real steel, for example. This is D2 steel, again convex grind. This has a stout, thick tip and also convex blade. I put this knife through hell, through knots, and it did not let me down, even though it is D2 steel, which is not known for toughness. This guy with a slightly thinner tip, I would not be prying with. But again, if you know knives, and I think somebody that has no clue about knives will not be purchasing this. You need to appreciate how much work, design has gone into this, and how beautiful of a knife this is, and you won't be abusing it. I forgot to mention I am wearing my absolute favorite Maratak Altomer GMT or with a Miyota movement, full titanium. Obviously, I do have it on a NATO strap right now, which I actually made myself. It was a NATO, but I don't like NATOs, so I sewed this in so the pin would go in, and that's how I'm wearing it currently. Use my code on CountyCom. My code is WizMods to get 10% off on this awesome watch. Okay, so you saw me using the knife. You also saw that I explained how I barely strap this back, and after that I would say abuse of the knife, because you should not be hitting a knife with a bone, but I was just trying to test it out. All I needed to do is strop it lightly and it came back to factory sharpness, and the factory sharpness was exceptional. Now, I also tried, I told you that you should not be really prying with this knife, but I did. Again, I was testing it. So about this section, I would stick into the bone and I was prying all directions to see if this would snap, and it did not. It did not bend and no damages, and I was actually very, very surprised that I could not see any blade damage, no shiny spots at all. Very impressive. Do I recommend the knife? Very, very strongly. I think this is a very unique knife. He does have different scale options, different colors. And as I said, he will, in the future runs, probably come out with maybe even different blade shapes. But this is an awesome knife. I strongly recommend it. And Jacob was nice enough to offer sponsorship of a giveaway. So the conditions of the giveaway are that you need to be a subscriber to my channel as well as to his Instagram, which will be, the link will be in the description below. Please make sure your subscription is public, so that if you are chosen by the comment picker, that we can verify that you are a subscriber. And it'll just be a random selection, because Comment Picker is the website that I use to select the winners. And you will receive this $300 knife free of charge directly from Zerco Knives from Jacob. You can use the discount code WizMods to get $25 off the knife. And Jacob is running holiday specials with 50% off on the accessories. So make sure that you take advantage of those discounts. Go in the description. Details will be in there. Thank you very much for watching, and stay safe and have a good one. Cheers.